Hello friends! Welcome back. My name is Ramon. How are you today? So if you watch my content, you know that a lot of the content that I come out with is actually geared towards skin of color. Having skin of color, there's specific concerns, specific things you need to watch out for, and specific ingredients, products, routines you really need to avoid or do to make sure you're getting the most out of your skincare while not doing the most to your skin. Just because when you have skin of color, more melanin in your skin, specific concerns that are very unique to having more melanin in the skin that you really have to be aware of. And so that's why oftentimes I recommend specific products or ingredients, or you have brands that keep a wide variety of skin tones, skin types, skin conditions, skin concerns in mind when formulating and developing their products so that they have a wider accessibility for their customer base. And we're going to talk about one of those brands today. Before we get into it, I'm going to ask that you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and fancy related content on my channel. Give this video a thumbs up, and down below at the end of this video, just tell me what some of your thoughts are, tell me what some of your questions are specifically towards this brand so that I can answer them myself or direct them to the individual I'm going to be introducing. And make sure you stay tuned towards the end for a little surprise. So I have a super special guest with me today, and as you've known, as you've seen on my channel, I've mentioned the brand Stratia many different times just because it's a brand I really want to highlight just because of the brand's ethos, the brand's message, and the overall product quality and formulation just because I really love it. And today I'm happy to introduce Alli. And Alli, tell me what you do for Stratia.
I am Stratia's owner and founder. So I started it in 2016 and I do all of the product formulation. I do all the manufacturing at this point, although that is definitely something I am hoping to get off of my plate at some point, but I do a lot of it behind the scenes.
And you said you're like the sole formulator for the whole brand, right?
Yeah, I do all of the formulations start to finish.
That's major, that's really big. Tell me a little bit about the history of Stratia, why you got started, when you got started, and some of like, I guess the bigger milestones for you.
Yeah. So I was a very late bloomer when it comes to getting into like the beauty space. I didn't start learning about skincare or makeup until probably my early 20s. When I was getting into it, I knew absolutely nothing about it. And you know, I'm a science person. I've always studied science, and so the idea of getting into something like that by just, you know, listening to what the beautiful people in Neutrogena ads told me did not really make sense to me. So I started reading dermatology journals and looking up studies and trying to learn as much as I could about, and I think skincare is really unique in that it's how the chemistry of the formula interacts with the biology of the living skin. So I found that super fascinating and started learning and realized that there are, you know, so many best practices and so many things that are really well studied, but that are not really reflected in the skincare that was on the market at the time. So I started formulating my own skincare using my chemistry background and just for myself so that I knew, you know, this product has these ingredients at this formulation, and I know that for sure. It's not just marketing jargon. I started formulating it just for myself. I had a couple formulas that I thought were really great. Those initial ones were Liquid Gold and Rewind, and decided to launch just a little store on the side of my full-time job, just in case other people liked it as much as I did. It really just took off. It took off completely organically. We didn't really do any marketing until last year, so it was all just word of mouth, which I am so immensely grateful for, because 4 years ago, I could not have predicted that this is where it would take me. So we now have 8 products, I want to say. I've formulated all of them, and that's one of my favorite parts of the job is product formulation, being able to take a concept from, you know, the butt of an idea in the back of my mind to a physical product is so exciting.
And I see the labor of love. I see like just the quality and the work you put into each product. And let's get into that a little bit. One of the reasons I really like to highlight Stratia on this channel is for a lot of reasons. First and foremost being the specific choice and the thought process in formulating the products that Alli has and we'll touch on, because you have a really great blend of potent actives and really, really nourishing, soothing vehicles, but because the primary thought behind the products is giving you the best benefits possible without being damaging, without being irritating to the skin. And on top of that, the products are really, really accessible, they're really affordable, and as Alli's gonna mention, there's a lot of thought put into who these products can work best for. So getting into it, let's touch on some of my favorite treatment and serum products from Stratia. First and foremost being Soft Touch.
Yeah, Soft Touch it's a 10% mandelic acid serum. When I was formulating that, you know, I'm really drawn to AHAs, alpha hydroxy acids, because they're so effective at sloughing off dead skin and revealing brighter skin underneath. They're really great for treating hyperpigmentation, aging, things like that. But something that's really tricky about AHAs is that some of the more popular ones like glycolic acid and lactic acid has some really negative side effects, one of which is irritation. They're really small molecules, so they can penetrate pretty deeply and cause inflammation, irritation, not stuff you want. And then they also have this really almost a catch-22 side effect because a lot of people use them to fight hyperpigmentation, things like sunspots and post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. But glycolic and lactic acid have a side effect in darker skin tones of potentially causing hyperpigmentation, and they can trigger melanocytes to overproduce melanin in dark skin tones. So the reason I went for mandelic acid specifically is that it doesn't have those two side effects. It's a much larger molecule. It stays closer to the surface of your skin, which is where, that's where the action is happening. It's exfoliating the surface of your skin. It doesn't need to penetrate deeply. It also causes a lot less irritation while still being super effective. And it also does not have that side effect for dark skin tones of potentially causing hyperpigmentation. So it's safe for all skin tones to use.
And then besides the mandelic acid, which as Alli's mentioning, it's really, really gentle. It's going to give you the effective exfoliating benefits while simultaneously not causing irritation and thus inflammation, which could lead to more pigmentation on the skin. What else is featured in the formulation to also counteract a little bit of any potential irritation that could happen?
Yeah, so I tried to include things like aloe vera, like allantoin, to try to reduce any potential inflammation. Any exfoliant is going to have some irritation potential just through the fact that it's an exfoliant. I tried to make sure that the sort of vehicle formula for the mandelic acid was as gentle as possible, was anti-inflammatory, calming, so that it's something that you can use without causing any negative side effects to your skin.
And I think you can really feel that in the texture of the product. It's a very, very lightweight gel that, to me, it's actually very, very hydrating. I love the texture of this on my skin. I think it's a really great hydrating serum, but also you get the benefits of the mandelic acid as well. And then touching on another great product from Stratia, Night Shift. This was the first product I tried from Stratia, and it's an encapsulated retinol. But beyond that, I think the formula features a lot of really great ingredients to really make it a really rich, plush night cream. Let's elaborate on that.
When I formulated Night Shift, I knew I wanted a retinol. Retinoids are the all-stars of skincare. They are so well studied. They are so effective. So I knew I wanted a retinol. I knew I wanted it to be in a night cream because it's sort of a really effective formula for it. And it was something that I wasn't really seeing on the market much. I feel like a lot of retinols are in a sort of serum or oil texture where it's just another step to layer in. I kind of wanted this to be something that could be an easy thing. It's a rich cream and it's an active, and it's something that's really easy to add into your routine without adding another step. So I knew I wanted the retinol. But retinol can be really irritating. There's even a word for the irritation that retinol causes, retinization, when you're first starting the retinol journey. That's how irritating it can be. It can cause redness, flaking, sensitivity. It's just, anyone who's gone through that process knows how difficult it is. So I wanted to make sure that the formula itself tried to mitigate those side effects as much as possible. So we used an encapsulated retinol to make sure that it was its most stable and effective possible. Everything else is about making sure that it minimizes the retinization. So making sure that the cream itself was really rich and emollient and hydrating and protective, like a night cream should be, but also adding in things like ceramides, Centella asiatica, panthenol, things that are really anti-inflammatory, that are really, like with the ceramides, they're gonna reinforce your moisture barrier to make sure that your skin can take care of itself. Just making sure that your skin is as healthy and protected and taken care of as possible during the retinol journey.
And something to highlight with both Soft Touch and Night Shift is the fact that you are using actives. They're very nice, potent actives, but the vehicles make it so that you are minimizing the likelihood of irritation in the skin, just because you can use actives when you have skin of color. It's just a matter of making sure you're using it in a very safe and gentle way, and also having the ability to then soothe your skin afterwards, just to make sure you are minimizing or ultimately eliminating any potential inflammation that you could be causing to your skin as well. Let's segue that into talking about C+C, which is your vitamin C serum. And vitamin C is a really great ingredient for brightening the skin. It's a great antioxidant ingredient. Let's talk a little bit about that formula and the product overall.
So C+C is a unique product in that it is water-free. So ascorbic acid, which is sort of the pure form of vitamin C, is a really tricky ingredient. It is only soluble in water, and the second it touches water, it starts to break down, which is why those water-based vitamin C formulas you might have tried start turning orange in a couple of weeks. So I wanted to avoid that issue of it breaking down quickly. I wanted something that was really shelf stable. That means that it's not soluble. It won't dissolve. So what we ended up doing was taking a super, super fine ascorbic acid powder and suspending it in a vitamin C, or in a silicone base. And the silicones we used actually evaporate. They evaporate away from your skin after a couple minutes after you put it on, which means all that's being left behind is that ascorbic acid, as well as a vitamin C, an oil-soluble vitamin C derivative we use in coenzyme Q10, which is a really great antioxidant as well. That you are getting all the benefits of ascorbic acid and vitamin C without having anything that's like really heavy or greasy on the skin. You know, the idea is that you can put it on, leave it a couple minutes, there's nothing left on your skin except those actives. And since we didn't use any water, it's stable on your shelf for over a year, which means you don't have to stick it in the refrigerator. You don't have to make sure that you're using it up within a few weeks. So trying to make it as usable as possible.
And then what's the percentage of vitamin C in C plus C? And then what else is included in the formulation that really makes it a little bit more gentle, that potentially has some more anti-inflammatory, skin nourishing benefits?
So we have 10% of ascorbic acid and 5% of that oil-soluble vitamin C derivative. In addition to that, there's the coenzyme Q10, which is another really powerful antioxidant. Vitamin C has a lot of benefits, but its antioxidant benefit is kind of that's what it's front and center for. And so making sure that this is a really powerful antioxidant serum. In the formulation, what was so tricky about formulating C plus C was making sure that the formula was stable, that it didn't separate, it didn't get chunky, it didn't get greasy. And that's really, really hard to do with these ingredients. Those actives are kind of that's the star of the show. Most of the rest of the ingredients are there just to make sure that it can get onto your skin while still intact and safe and evenly distributed, and then that base just goes away.
And just to emphasize, antioxidants are a really great thing to incorporate into your skincare routine. Don't forget that a lot of the damage and a lot of the pigment-related issues that can occur in skin of color are actually related to free radical damage and stressors on the skin from either pollutants or other environmental stressors. So including antioxidants into your daytime routine helps to protect your skin, but even in your nighttime routine, it really helps to repair the damage done on your skin throughout the day from those factors as well.
Absolutely.
So now that we talked about some of the actives and serums that I really love from Stratia, let's get into some of the other hero products in my opinion. Kind of touching on some of the stuff Alli's mentioned. A lot of what I love about Stratia is first and foremost, its ingredients and formulations that really help to strengthen or repair your skin barrier. And two of my favorite products from Stratia, as I've mentioned in a previous video, are their Liquid Gold Moisturizer as well as their Velvet Cleansing Milk. Let's touch on Liquid Gold, just because I've mentioned it in a favorites video, and it's just one of those products that I saw so much hype about, and using it, I understood. It's a barrier repairing cream. It's rich in ceramides, cholesterol, fatty acids, and it's really nourishing to the skin, but it's so lightweight that even on oily skin, I use it during the summer in the high humidity of Chicago, just because it's so lightweight on the skin. Touch on a little bit about that product, your thought process behind developing it, and why it is so great.
So Liquid Gold, I was one of the first ever products I formulated professionally. So the idea is that it reinforces the skin's natural moisture barrier. So the outer layers of your skin, your stratum corneum, are sort of a brick and mortar structure where the bricks are these flat, dead, keratin-filled skin cells. So they're just almost literally bricks. Keratin is the protein that's in your fingernails. So it's just kind of little tiny, tiny bricks made of fingernails. And then it's filled in with this mortar, which is a mixture of mostly ceramides, cholesterol, and fatty acids, it's an oil-based kind of waxy mixture that keeps everything waterproof and keeps essentially the skin's primary purpose is to keep the insides inside and the outsides outside. That mortar really helps it do its job and keeps your skin really healthy, able to fight off infection and acne, things like that. That moisture barrier can get really easily damaged by things like over exfoliating, which I think I have certainly played with plenty of times. If, probably a lot of the people watching this video have. Harsh cleansers, especially low or high pH cleansers, environmental damage, sun damage, wind, scrubs, or harsh physical exfoliation. So there's a lot of things that can damage that. I wanted to create liquid gold as something that mimicked and reinforced your moisture barrier to get your skin healthy again. And then, as you mentioned, it's really lightweight. I wanted to make sure that it was something that could be used by all skin types, from oily to dry. So, if you have really dry skin, it's probably not enough of a moisturizer on its own. You want to add another moisturizer or mix an oil in, but I figured better to do that than make something that is emollient enough for dry skin, and then people with oily skin have no way to use it at all. So I tried to formulate it. It's almost got kind of a serum texture, so it is really usable no matter what your skin type is.
100% agreed. And then I love pairing that in my routine with the Velvet Cleansing Milk, which in itself is just a really unique cleansing experience. It's a plush, rich cleansing cream. But that being said, it's a really effective cleanser in being able to, in my opinion, do a one and done cleanse. Let's touch a little bit on your development process behind that.
Yeah, so I have super dry skin, and I was always on the lookout for a cleanser that would not strip my skin, because cleansing, inherently the idea of cleansing is using a surfactant that will, one side of the surfactant molecule bonds to oil and the other bonds to water, which means one side is bonding to the grease and grime and makeup on your face, and the other end will wash away everything with water. Harsher cleansers, that oil side of the molecule binds to the natural oils on your face, including that fatty mixture we were just mentioning with liquid gold. It can be really damaging for any skin types, especially dry skin, which has, dry skin underproduces oil, whereas oily skin overproduces oil. So dry skin has so much less oil to begin with that losing any of it can be really damaging. So I was really looking for a way to make the cleansing step of my routine not something that made me feel itchy and flaky and tight, and not like that I had to immediately slather my skin to make sure that it was getting back what I'd just lost. So I wanted to create a non-foaming cleanser. The idea of foam is we kind of psychologically tie foam to clean, and that isn't real. That's just a psychological trick. So you don't need something to foam in order to clean, and in fact the things that foam tend to be much harsher detergents compared to the type of cleansing that we actually need for our skin, especially facial skin, which is so sensitive. So I wanted to create something that would cleanse gently. I included some ingredients like rice bran oil, like aloe vera, things that can sort of minimize the inflammation that's going to cause from cleansing, because cleansing, kind of does do a little bit of damage. Making sure that it was as healthy and gentle a process as possible while still being super effective at making sure your skin is clean.
So I think you really touch on a really important factor, and like one of the really big reasons I like to highlight Stratia is the fact that you don't have to be overly stripping, you don't have to be really harsh on your skin to get really great results from your skincare. If you nourish your skin, if anything, nourishing your skin further gets you a lot better results with your skincare than you'd think. And I think a big issue with skin of color is the result of inflammation, of stripping the skin barrier, and repairing and strengthening your skin barrier does a lot, in my opinion, to actually really help remedy a lot of skin concerns we have, whether it is irritation, whether it's acne and breakouts, whether it's pigmentation that's a result of inflammation from overstripping your skin barrier. So as Alli really highlights, Stratia's products are really great at giving you the results you want from your skincare without really overstripping or causing irritation that could lead to further issues in your skin.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we tend to get a little bit of a antagonistic relationship with our skin, especially when it is acting up, for breaking out or whatever our major issues are. And we try to kind of like punish it into line. And I think if we were to treat it more gently, make sure that it's hydrated and healthy and taken care of and protected, we would probably see much better effects than if we continue to throw acid after acid after acid at our face trying to get it in line.
Agreed. Take it slow, be gentle, nurture your skin. Let's talk a little bit about, so when you develop a product, you've mentioned that you have this like volunteer panel of people that you send products off to, your prototypes, so that you can get feedback and some kind of reviews from. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, there have been about 1,000 people so far that have signed up for this list. When I have a prototype that, I've tested it on my own skin, I'm sure it's not gonna make my skin fall off. And I have a prototype that I think is good and worthy of feedback, then I will send out a link to my prototype tester list, for sort of first come, first served. For free, they'll get the sample, they try it for a month, and then they've got a whole feedback form they send me. And I think this really differentiates Stratia from a lot of other formulation processes, because I know a lot of other cosmetic formulators, and for example, one who is actually someone who is a brilliant cosmetic formulator, works for, in a third party setting, where brands will come and say, here's the brief, here's what we want, and here you go. And he said he made, I think, 400 prototypes of a shampoo, but just tested them on his hair one after the other. And so in that sense, you can learn things like, does it have the right foam, the right feel? Does it smell nice? Does it feel good? You're not going to learn what it actually does for your hair, because if you're shampooing your hair 20 times a day, your hair is going to be unhealthy. And so you don't really know what those effects are, the immediate effects, much less the long-term effects. Beyond that, he was only testing on his own hair. And I don't think that that's an anomaly. I think the fact that he tried 400 types is an anomaly, and that he was very, very dedicated to finding the right one. But the idea of testing it only on your own skin, doing one after the other, and just trying it once and seeing, does it have these sort of chemistry properties, these formulation properties? Is it tacky or greasy, or, how does it smell? Does it, spread well? What's the foaming properties? Less focus on what does it actually do for the skin. And so making sure that I have as broad a range of experience as possible, of skin types, of skin ages, of skin concerns, of skin tones, so that when I'm formulating, it's not just that I think the product feels nice and is nice to use, but that it is actually doing what I set out to do.
And so that really highlights the importance of, you can't just develop a product specifically for yourself or a close circle of people. You have to really consider what your product is going to be able to do for as Alli mentioned, broad spectrum of people. And that really goes to show testing your products on skin of color, people that have more melanin in their skin, and how those products are going to affect their skin as a result of that. And then going a little bit further, as we mentioned, you're very concise when choosing the ingredients you formulate with. What thought process goes into choosing the specific ingredients? Why do you choose mandelic acid or like an encapsulated retinol?
So there are three central tenets to Stratia in general: efficacy, transparency, and accessibility. So I am looking for things that kind of meet all three of those. So obviously efficacy is absolutely central to everything we do. I'm not throwing in an ingredient just to make the ingredients list look nice. Some sort of mantra I have is that our formulation informs our marketing and not the other way around. We don't let a marketing team say, hey, matcha is super hot, make something with matcha in it. What I'm doing is reading the literature that's out there, seeing, oh wow, this ingredient or these ingredients together are super effective. I want to formulate something like that and let that drive the marketing. That's where I start, is with efficacy, and then accessibility in every way that it can mean, making sure that it is not something that has, as we mentioned with glycolic and lactic acid, I don't want to use something that has side effects for darker skin tones. I don't want to use something that is only usable by people with very oily or very dry skin. I want to make sure that it's not something that only older or younger people can use. So I'm really trying to formulate, making sure that it with everyone in mind. And so, I formulate specifically with sensitive skin in mind, because then every skin type can use it, keeping in mind the vast range of experiences and skin types and concerns out there is really important to every step of the formulation process.
Agreed. And then touching on the last tenet you mentioned, accessibility, one of the things that I like to highlight with Stratia and why I recommend it so broadly on my channel is the fact that it's really accessible. Your price points are really, for the most part, right around $25 or below. How is it that you manage to maintain your price range in that range, or what lets you decide around that price range?
Stratia is really unique, I think, in the skincare industry, in that we formulate and manufacture our products in-house. So that means We don't have third-party formulators, we don't have third-party manufacturers, and those people have to work in their own profit margins. You know, they have to make a profit on what they're doing, and so then that would drive up our own price. So when we're looking at what's called cost of goods sold, we are only talking about the raw cost of the ingredients, of the packaging, and that's basically it. So that helps keep our price down. Another major thing is that we are direct to consumer. You can really only buy Stratia on our website, which means, you know, when you're going through a retailer, they are taking at least 50% of the cost of the product. So when you buy a product at a department store or at a, you know, online retailer that isn't the brand is getting 50% or less of what you're paying there. So if we were going to go into a retailer and keep our profit margin, we would have to double our prices, which is why so many brands are so much more expensive. So that is all really important to keeping us really accessible. I don't think luxury is a price point. I think that I want to make sure that our products are a luxury that is accessible to as many people as possible.
And so all that being said, that's why Stratia is one of the brands I recommend so frequently on this channel. It's something that I feel that for the price point, you're getting really quality formulations and great quality products that are going to be safe and gentle for your skin, but give you really great results. As Alli's mentioned, there's a lot of thought that goes into developing these products, and it's products that she puts a lot of effort into developing because she's the founder, CEO, and formulator for all these products. I think it's important to consider brands that are really conscious about the products they put out there and who those products are made for, because not all products are created equally. Big shout out and thank you to the team at Stratia and Alli for making this possible. Alli, thank you for being on my channel. And one more thing I want to mention is a little surprise. Alli, what is that surprise?
We are having our sale. We have one sale a year, and so it is a big deal. And this year we are actually, you know, we want to make it as easy and low stress for you as possible. So we're running it for a full week. So it starts this Monday, the 16th, and it will run through the following Monday, the 23rd. And it's 20% off everything. So head on over to stratiaskin.com, load up your cart, take your time, figure out what you want, and enjoy.
You heard Alli. Stratiaskin.com, 20% off November 16th through the 23rd. Be sure to follow Stratia on their socials. I'll put that down in the description box below. And in the comments down below, tell me, what products are you loving? What products do you want to get? Or what questions do you have about Stratia? I'll be sure to answer them myself or pass them along to Alli. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye.